Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald B. Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours. To watch it on the internet, go to, in capital letters, RBRIMO, to view our entire catalog. The In My Opinion Show is also seen on Flint, Michigan, Comcast Cable Channel 17 every Wednesday at 8:30 and every Saturday at 6. The In My Opinion Show is also seen on Detroit Comcast Cable Channel 68 every Sunday at 9 p.m. I want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide and our spectacular co-host, Miss Jackie Williams.
Hi, Ron. Hi, Ron.
Miss Denise Smith-Allen.
How you doing, Ron?
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
Welcome all to the In My Opinion Show. Let's talk about ISIS and ISIL. And terrorism. What is the world coming to? Suicide bombers, beheading, hostage taking, burning people alive, blowing up airplanes, poison gas, thousands of people dead, bombs dropped, are now being dropped by Russians, French, U.S., Jordan, Turkey, England. Now people are talking about boots on the ground. I hope President Obama doesn't put boots on the ground. Denise, what is your thoughts?
Well, I guess I'm in agreement with you on that regard, that I would not want to see additional forces going over to a land that has been in crisis for many, many years. It's unfortunate that we have an organization right now that's out there creating all kinds of mayhem and destruction to innocent people. And the thing that disturbs me the most is that the women and children are the ones that are suffering. And there's not a lot of recourse for them. We have a terroristic organization that is bent on some type of dominance, and in the meantime they speak of doing this in the name of God, and I'm just wondering what God they're talking about, because the God that I know about is one of love and peace. And what I'm saying with all of that, it would be hard for conversion. You know, I mean, it's either, from what I see, what's been presented is that either you are a part of them or you're going to be dead, and there's no way. People should have religious freedom or choose not to believe in anything at all if they so choose. It's unfortunate that we're living in a world such as this, but I'm really concerned about those that live in the United States, and I'm really hopeful that we have our organizations in place so that we can counter anything that may be happening here. We know that there are probably cells in the United States, but it is up to our intelligence here to maintain a vigil and to stop anything that could possibly happen to innocent civilians here in this country. So that's my position.
Mine too. Hopefully, unfortunately, the world is at war. You never know when the next terrorist is going to strike. Jackie, what is your thoughts?
Well, you know, I was reading and watching some information about ISIS, and what they're doing is they're appealing to the younger generation, and they're making them feel like they need to be a part of this, and it's a positive movement. In their minds, it's a positive movement. And they were saying how many people are like on the internet joining forces, and I think they had Secret Service had uncovered quite a bit of people who had enrolled and, you know, trying to get information about them. But one of the things that I find that is interesting is every time there is an attack, when they give the list, there is a list of people who are already being watched, but somehow they have slipped through and they're out, because the person that was responsible for the last terrorist attack, he was not even supposed to be here, but somehow he slips through the cracks. So what is the point of us having this number one system of being able to detail what you are, you know, if you're dangerous, if we're not going to make sure that if you don't keep anybody else locked up, I need them locked up. But he slipped through the cracks again, and so they were saying he should have never been free.
Mm-hmm. So that makes you wonder.
Yeah.
You know, definitely.
Henry, what's your thoughts?
Ron, I like the responses by the previous two speakers. They were good and eloquent and to the point. But I have a problem with ISIS. I think we don't know enough about ISIS to make a determination yet. I was reading in the press here, and this is this morning's Free Press, where members of the Dearborn community came out and made a statement. They said, if you want to know ISIS, they have no God, no faith, no morality. They are savages. This is what people who live in Dearborn, who profess now Americans. And there may be some truth to that. They may really believe that. But we don't want them to have dual loyalties, and we don't know that either. There are some of them that probably do. And what does ISIS stand for? We don't even know that, and I'm sure that many of the people in the audience are as profound as we are. Does it really mean the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria? Mm-hmm. Or does it mean ISIS that pertains to the pantheon god of Egypt, where it connotes religion? There are some questions that we need to know. What do these people want? Do they want global war with the Christians? Or do they want a whole new world order? And if that's so, because they seem to dominate and they intimidate all nations of the world. And they're making tremendous strides in carrying on their agenda. And I heard one person say, and I heard this with my mouth, that the purpose of people who come to this country and stabilize themselves here is to spread their genes throughout the world. That was said in Detroit at a Islamic annual dinner. And tremendous distribution of people by culture, whites and blacks and so on. But that was a strange comment to me. I don't think that, I've never heard that from blacks. I've never heard that myself, I don't even believe. I've never heard it from whites. But that was a statement that was made. And that kind of concerns me. Now, the other thing that we don't know about ISIS is people who they hire to carry out the deeds may be soldiers of fortune. They may be mercenaries with no loyalties to anybody, with no goals. And they get hired by the person who pays the biggest dollar. Well, how do you think these Americans get involved? Why do you think people from all over the world want to go there? It's not to fight for an ideology. It may be money. And they have no risk. If you can get certain things done there, you may end up a rich person. Soldiers of fortune. And don't forget the Americans in the Revolutionary War hired Hessians as mercenaries. We might not have won the war had we not had them. So it's something that we really need to think about. And we need to avoid politicizing strong positions on this until we have more information. And I'm sure that there are people out there talking about the same issues that we are, who don't even know what ISIS stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
I agree with you, Henry, but I guess my major concern is that whatever ideology that they're working from, when you have young people who have decided to strap on a device that will not only take them out but take out other people around them, then I'm wondering, what are they getting? What kind of information are they getting that they would want to do that to themselves? So yes, it's true that we need to have more information, but what I'm concerned about is the fact that however they're being indoctrinated, for you to want to say, okay, I am acknowledging that this is my plan, that I am going to learn what I can learn so that I can strap on some device and go into some public forum and then blow myself up. Yeah. I love me too much to want to do that. Right. I love me too much to want to do that. And I love my family and I love the people in my community. So I'm wondering, like I said, what kind of propaganda are they being indoctrinated with, for them to come to that.
Yeah, and here's another critical point that just evokes my thoughts. Iraq, Iran, and Turkey and all of those countries are stable nations with a legitimate government. And yet they are surrounded by individual pockets, or cells you call them, of individuals who can do anything they want to shape and form how that government is perceived worldwide. So therefore, a country in combat with Syria or Iran or any of those cannot get to those people because they're protected by the boundaries and laws of that nation. And they whatever they do is very effective. They will decide to spot themselves, surround the hospital, where they know that if anybody fires into their zone where they occupy, they can change the sentiment of the world culture toward that country that's the invading country. And people may be killed. The first thing we argue, we're killing babies and child and women and old people. But that is not the intent of the military. But they have to seek out the enemy in any way they can. So there's a lot that we need to learn. And like you said, we have intelligence organizations out there, and they need to get it right. Americans have not been stellar in their presentation of this either. We need to get better. The people need to help formulate how we deal with these people. And I'm not saying, I'm not encouraging people to come in because I'm an anti-immigration person. I think the people that we want in at this time, we have so many people unemployed, we need to encourage them to get educated and come back into the workforce to reduce our dependency upon foreign intelligence. And so anybody that comes in must be able to contribute to the American economy, must be able to fill the gaps between in math and science and the core curriculum and meet those needs that scientists and businesses say they need to continue their expansion of businesses.
Now you said the intelligence. Now this was interesting. 9/11 and the attack that they just had, they all had reports telling them that there was an attack that was going to happen, and each time they did not do anything. They received information that there was an attack was getting ready to happen, and they didn't do anything.
But you have to be careful. You can't do anything until the overact is committed. Now, our other panelist will tell you about that because she's a cop.
I am not a cop.
I mean, she was a cop or
I've never been a cop. Let's get that clear.
Okay.
I guess
I'm sorry. I don't mean to put down cops because they've been looking bad all over the place. But I apologize for a policeman.
Let me just interject something, Henry, with what you were talking about. People might say this is a conspiracy theory, but Christian governments, are certainly not above suspicion. Okay, now we don't know what these groups, in the government, throughout the government, are doing. Okay, now Christians and Muslims have been fighting for thousands of years. Okay, now are they taking lessons from history? I'm just throwing that out there.
Those are the things that we don't know yet.
Exactly.
We have to research those out, and we have to turn that to a think tank and a group that we have confidence and trust in. That's a third-party person, not one that has a vested interest in what we're doing.
But then how do we know that it's a third party?
This is what we have to do. We have to do that. And there are ways that you can do it, just like we went and got a third-party person to look at Flint City water to resolve its problem. You can't have people involved in a situation. And I support America first. If somebody is supposed, is going to be consumed in this area, then let it be them, not us. I'm sorry, but that's how war is, and you say this is war.
Now, Obama did say for years he's been trying to get everybody engaged so we can put a stop to it all around, and nobody wanted to come to the table until it happened at their house. Now everybody want to hear all the details, but Obama has been asking everybody to come to the table so we can approach it as a united front, and nobody wanted to come until it happened at their house. Now when 9/11 happened here, they were like, you handle your business and take care of your business. Now it happened outside of the United States, and they want us to come running, but I respect Obama's because he said, I need you guys to protect your grounds. And we'll come to, we're at the table. We've been at the table. He was like, but I need everybody else to come to the table because this is bigger than just us.
And I agree with him. Why should we send our men and women over there to die when they won't protect themselves?
Right.
Okay.
All the training that was used in getting them engaged and getting their forces engaged to get, to take care of their own selves. And as soon as they had opportunity, they abandoned ship.
They dropped the ball.
They abandoned ship. They ran. So that's not good. That's
Now,
really not good.
I just want to I'm going to read from something that let you know what the rest of the world is with the same situation. And this is not necessarily my point of view, but it's up to you to decide what's the truth and what is not.
Right.
Japan has always refused Muslims to live permanently in their country and cannot own any real estate or any types of businesses. That's Japan. And any Muslim caught spreading the word of Islam would be deported immediately. Cuba rejects plan for first mosque. The African nation of Angola and several other nations have officially banned Islam. Record numbers of Muslims, over 2,000, reported from Norway as a way of fighting crime. Since these Muslims criminals have been deported, crime has dropped by a staggering 72%. In Germany alone, in the last year, there were 81 violent attacks targeting mosques. Australian police arrested 13 men and so on and so forth. There are a lot of stories like that. And then, of course, the article in the paper this morning where the Muslims say, well, we're with Americans. We are Americans. But there's one other thing that I would want them to do. I would want them to mix with the American population. They don't have to give up their heritage or their race relations,
Well, they're not. As a matter of fact,
Henry, but we want them to mix.
Henry, in Hamtramck, the majority that sits on city council are Muslim. So they are definitely incorporating themselves, in American society. And all we can do at this point is hope and pray that they came with the right spirit. Maybe they're even born here. I don't know their history. I don't know, anything about them, but I just know at this point that they have the majority rule. So what does that mean? They are representing a vast majority of folks in that area that are Muslim. Okay.
But do they have to dual loyalties? That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's the question. That is the question. I mean, you have people who are of the Arab descent from various parts of the world, but they also ascribe to the Muslim faith. Because there are some Christians that are, from different cultures. But the thing that like I said, that concerns me is that just making sure that we don't end up with cells that will end up doing us harm. We've got people fighting overseas, and then to have them here in this country fighting after we have incorporated them into our system, that would just be awful.
That exacerbates the position that Americans have with Mexico, because we can't tell when people from the Middle East are coming in or people from the South are coming in, because they all come in through the floodgates.
Well, they announced that they have one in every state. They have quarters in every state.
They have what? That's
what ISIS reported. In the United States, they have somebody in every state.
Well, for our listening audience, I want to say that, Dearborn, Michigan has the largest population of Middle Easterns people from the Middle East.
In the United States.
And the United States, exactly.
Well, it's interesting, and I think all of us just need to be paying attention, so we can revisit this from time to time just to see where we're at with it.
And I'll leave this with you. When we make judgments, and we make judgments that hurt other people, that is not my intent to hurt Arabs or blacks or women, but it's to find the truth, and that's what we are seeking. We may not recognize it when we see it. But we want to make sure that we do it in a just and democratic way, a just way.
And also, too, let's not get caught up, in these fear tactics. Okay, people should go about living their lives as much as possible, and not get into this Islamophobia fear stuff. You were going to say something.
No, I think I've pretty much said what I need to say.
But I do think, as Denise was saying, to piggyback on your thoughts, we do need to be aware. I mean, we don't have to be afraid to go out, but when we're out, we need to pay attention. And if there's something to be reported, we need to report it in a timely manner so that we can handle it efficiently. So we just need to be aware.
Exactly.
And I want to, just my last point here, is that Middle Easterners contribute grossly to learning and the foundation of knowledge, not only in this country, but in every country. They're great engineers, they're great doctors, and so on and so forth. We don't mind those, as long as they contribute to the American way of life and want to help stabilize it. But to bring in or encourage other people to come in who will inundate a stable land of liberty, I am against.
But also, too, we have to look to our own country. We have our own domestic terrorists, okay, like Oklahoma and Boston and Illinois here recently.
Right.
So, when we want to blame, other cultures, for this, let's look at why our homegrown terrorists, what made them blow up Murrah building, okay?
Right.
In Oklahoma. What made this little young guy kill those 9 people, okay, in South Carolina? Why are these, I call them cops that kill people, you know what I mean? Just like the other day, last year, 16 times, shot the boy in the back. I call him a terrorist. All right. What's feeding these people?
But the attitude and mindset was in that individual all along. Oh yeah, just look at him. He looks like the person that is has a vengeance. I'll bet he beats his wife up and his children up and beat up anybody that's in his pathway. And have this man in the police department, and you got to know something about his psychic, because he talks it all the time among his peers. He talks it with people on the street, in their homes. So somebody knew this man should have never been on the police department.
He had a history. They were aware of it. But it goes into another part of this discussion, because, again, we were talking about the international terrorists as opposed to what goes on the homegrown front, because that's a whole nother discussion, okay? But the reality is you have people who are not together in their minds. They have some mental health issues, and they have some biases, and they act out on those biases.
But everybody who has a bias is not mentally ill.
Well, I didn't say that they were. There are two different things going on.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
But I know this is a bad word to the NRA, but gun control. This is a bad word for, I know you guys don't like this. But once again, overseas, when they ban multiple weapons, they have not had major shootings like us. They banned you having more than one weapon, and they made you wait a long period of time. If you had anything in your history, you could not get a gun at a gun show, you had to go through the proper protocol. Gun control is the answer for domestic grounds. We need to do that and stop taking the big dollars from the NRA, let them get their refund, and protect America.
But see, I read something not too long ago, is that the NRA or news media or something said that there's 10 guns for every one American in America.
I think I
Okay.
saw the same thing.
You see? So guns are here to stay. Okay? And I'm against laws on guns, because once guns are taken away from the citizens, you're gonna look for some trouble from the
I
government.
don't want them to be taken away. I just want
No,
them
we
to
don't want them
have.
to be
You want a little bit more regulation.
We need regulation
I'm on
because
that side.
I didn't know, this is something that I learned over the summer. I didn't know that you can go to a gun show and you don't have to be vetted like you would have to be vetted if you went to the store. And you can get a gun even if you have a record. So this is what I'm talking about. Those things should be stopped.
Did you see the article just recently? A guy in Georgia, someplace down in Alabama, went into the store and there was a guy smoking in there. He pulled out his gun and shot him dead for smoking.
Yeah.
That's on the internet today.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yes, I did. This has been a great conversation, and we will, in the future, revisit this. I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide and my very talented co-hosts. This is Ronald, Barry Robinson, and friends saying for the In My Opinion show, stay focused.